Can I just take you back to, November when you and Stephen and the rest of the guys obviously left Rangers? I mean, just from your own point of view, how difficult a time is that, or did you agree with Stephen that it was time to move on?
I think it was difficult because we recruited the whole squad, didn't we? There was only 1 or 2 players left, and them players were very important, so they became very close as well. But you started that journey with them people. You hired them, not just on the pitch, people in and around the building. And so it was a hugely difficult time in terms of leaving and saying goodbye. My children really enjoyed their time up in the little village we lived in there in Balfron. So they was the hardest sell. But obviously excited to be going to the Premier League as well. As a management team, we didn't want to break up at that stage. We felt we had more to give as a management team. But having said that, I've took this opportunity now. But my 3.5 years in Glasgow is fantastic. My daughter's born there. I'm always going to have allegiance towards Rangers and wanting Scottish football to do well. And I think that looking in from the outside, the last 6 or 7 months, the two teams are of a fantastic level at the moment, and there's 2 excellent managers in the big 2 clubs.
I was going to ask about that just in terms of Rangers' run in Europe. I mean, can you give us your assessment of just how the team did in that, and what was it like for you guys having to sort of sit there and watch what was effectively largely your team going on this incredible run? Was there a wee bit of jealousy there that you weren't there to sample that night in Seville?
No jealousy. I was just so proud. We had a Rangers party in my house with my children. We got balloons and everything. So for the final, so it was just real pride for the players. Listen, they were fulfilling what I thought they could fulfill. That's the big thing. The players that came in, you're telling them they can fulfill this. And sometimes maybe when they first come, they're looking at you like you're crazy, but then they've gone on and achieved that now. They were so unlucky on the night, but maybe that's encompassing with Scottish teams in Europe in general, so close, but yet so far away, one kick of a ball. I was so proud. I followed the journey. I think Gio's done a great job. It's his team now. It's certainly his team when I watch them play and the way that they play. And I think that he can be hugely proud of the achievement of getting to the final and getting so close, and albeit take the frustration into this season, into domestic. I think Ange's done a really good job. He's ever such a nice guy. I think he's done a good job, but I don't see anyone stronger than others. I'm biased, but I still see the Rangers squad as a stronger squad.
And just finally for me, you talk about that pride there. I mean, when you sort of look at the state of the club when you guys went in, and to see, 4 or 5 years later than the final of the Europa League, I mean, does that just sort of sum up the sort of work that you guys did to, put the club back on a path to where it should be?
I think what it is we had a vision and we recruited towards that vision, and we stayed strong when we had some difficult moments. If you go back to Stephen's first interview about bumps in the road, there was a few big bumps along the way, but we stayed strong with our ideas. We didn't listen to the background noise, and we recruited for a system. You think of some of the recruiting that we did and the prices that we paid for them players like your Glenn Kamaras, your Calvin Bassies and your Joe Aribos. And at times, we've had to go through the wave of them players' development, but they've certainly come out the other side and give good value for that now. I think Rangers is in a very, very strong position in terms of the current squad and how the club is viewed outside compared to where it was when Stephen started in 2018. And that's all you can do as a manager and a coach. And I think a lot said when you leave clubs, but I think they'll always, for everyone that was there, have a part of Rangers as part of us moving forward now.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Can I just ask you what you've learned, maybe about talk about recruitment earlier on, what you've learned about building a squad, and how important is it to get guys with the right leadership qualities in at the start? So I think back to Rangers and think back to when Stephen, you obviously made a huge play to get Connor Goldson in at the start, to get a leader as a kind of foundation stone of the squad. How important is that? And can you maybe reflect a little bit on Connor's influence and what you did at Rangers?
Yeah, to be fair, recruitment, ever since I started coaching at Chelsea in 2002, I've been heavily involved in recruitment. I was involved in recruitment at Liverpool, Aston Villa recently, but at Rangers, because you have to recruit to the style and you have to recruit. So when we're going to look at Glenn Kamara not playing at Dundee, and you're signing him and you believe he can be a big player, there's a bit of a sell there. There's a lot of trust has to be involved in that, but you're bringing Glenn for a specific role in the team. When we recruited Connor, it was via a conversation I had with a friend of mine that was playing with Connor at the time. I wasn't aware of Connor so much, and I recommended him to Stephen. We sat and thought about it. Stephen went down to meet him, and Connor's been fantastic. You got to remember that we recruited a player that wasn't playing, who had a heart problem in the year before, and he's gone on to play literally 98% of the games for Rangers afterwards. So when you're going through that medical and you're going through recruiting, there will always be questions from the outside, from the media and from fans, like, this guy's not played football. But you have to trust your instincts. And more often than not, we got it right for the outlays we made. You can see how much Calvin Bassey's come to fruition, Joe Aribo, Ryan Kent, there's the outlay there. We have to remember after the loan period, but Ryan Kent came out off the bench at Bristol City where he wasn't playing. So how was he going to come and be a main player at Rangers? I think what it is you have to have a clean eye for how you want to play. I'll need to use all of that now in the role here at QPR, because it's similar in terms of maybe not having the finances to go and outlay. So you have to cherry pick and you have to know how you're going to play and bring players in that complement it. You're not going to get everyone right, Mark, but in terms of Connor Goldson, we struck gold there. And I'm absolutely delighted that he's signed another 4 years. I think it was essential for Gio and for Rangers moving forward. But I also thought it was important that Connor re-signed as well, because I think that he's had a great time. He's rode the waves of Glasgow, hasn't he? The good and the bad, the up and down with the criticism, and then the euphoria of doing well. And I think he's come out of it and as a real leader. And I'm delighted for him and his family staying in Glasgow.
Can you divulge who that friend was at the start, Michael, that set the wheels in motion for Connor?
It was Liam Rossinia. So Liam Rossinia, we was on a course together, and obviously Liam said, have you seen this player at Brighton? He's a really good player. And I said, well, I roughly know him, but I don't know him well enough to jump off a cliff right now. I went away and we spoke about it in-house, and we all liked what we see. I believe Stephen had done a game for TV, which Connor had played in. And so there was a lot of little things coming back. And we were delighted he come up, and he's done ever so well since. So Leon Rossinia was a scout there for Rangers. He'll probably kill me for telling you that now.
And just finally for me, it's you talk about other guys you could kind of riding that wave of development. Calvin Bassey's obviously come on hugely. Is it, when you look at the modern market, do you feel it's going to be tough for Rangers to keep him, or is it important maybe that he stays to have another season of development in Glasgow where he seems to be very comfortable?
I think the key work for Ross Wilson and the staff there is to have the conveyor belt in place. I think obviously the cross-border thing really helped in the case of taking a player like that for just over 200,000, and the same with Joe Aribo. I think having the conveyor belt in place is really important. That conveyor belt can come through your own academy, like a Nathan Patterson, or it can come from outside. But it's important that when players come and they reach their, a selling point, which is, the TV money is, and it's the same here in the Championship. We would have to do the same at QPR. And it's the same for Glasgow Rangers, that you have to sell at the right time. And, if the money being bandied about for Calvin is actually a reality, then what a return on your investment that is. Albeit on a selfish side, I'd like to see him continue there, because I know he's having a lovely time. I think you make an environment in a football club that players love to come in and work and excited to come in. And that changing room at Rangers has really come together over the last few years, both from the disappointment and the success, but also through the racism case with Glenn Kamara. It really brought people together going through that, and going through the COVID time where we all supported each other. I think it's a really hard place to leave, albeit to be sustainable, exactly the same as we are at QPR. You have to develop players on. And if the players then have got people coming after them, it means the team must have done well, because the team's the vehicle.